the Global Virtual Exchange Organizing Committee to welcome all of you joining the Global Virtual Exchange Summit today. So in this panel, Virtual Exchange and Global Citizenship, we are happy to have speakers from diverse backgrounds to share their insight as well as experience on how virtual exchange can promote student development and global citizenship. Before we go into presentation, I want to remind you that we will have an open discussion section following all the presentation. So first of all, please join me to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Thomas Lam from Hong Kong Baptist University, to talk about the use of smart apps to promote energy saving, householder response, and behavioral change in Hong Kong. Mr. Lam, please.
Hey, hello everyone. Hey, let's share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's me, sir. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Thomas Lam, who is the MPhil student in the Department of Geography in Hong Kong Baptist University. Today, I would like to present my thesis, the use of smart apps to promote energy savings, the household response and behavioral change in Hong Kong, and a case study of New Territory East District in Hong Kong. And today, I'm very happy to join the Global Virtual Exchange Summit organized by Hong Kong Baptist University. Today, I would like to present my research significance, context, literature review, methodology, findings, and so on. And firstly, it is visible that our world is facing the catastrophic climate risks, and it is urgent to act faster to decarbonize to meet the 1.5 safe targets. And more cities, including the European cities and Asian cities, are shifting their attentions away from the top-down approaches to engaging households and communities. And in Hong Kong, the local government has developed an ambitious carbon neutral goal by 2050. And also, the power company, including the CLP and HTC, has implemented a smart meter for our pets. And however, the complexity associated with the perceived impacts and contextual factors associated with smart grids and smart apps has remained largely understudied. And it is significant to study the household interactions and behavioral change under the app-based interventions. And for my research context, my research is focused on the 3-month app-based engagement in New Territory East District in Hong Kong. And we utilize the New Territory East District because of the ambitious urban district planning, the strong and pro-environmental spirit, and diverse housing type with staggered household demographic features in these regions. And also, we involved around 163 households from 3 participant groups, including the apps engagement groups, app-only group, and control group, to test with the 6 app-based energy behavioral change interventions. And let's move on to the literature reviews. And we utilized the 3 theoretical models to evaluate the perceived impacts and factors associated with the app-based interventions, including the information deficit models, the technological acceptance models, and the adoption or rejection of energy technology framework. And also, we put a focus on the 2 theoretical models explaining the perceived motivations and barriers to household energy behavioral change, including the norm activation models and our practice-based energy cultural frameworks. And for the knowledge gap and research novelties, and this study is one of the first to develop the holistic app-based energy behavioral change interventions for the smart low-carbon districts. And we try to interpret the household energy behavioral change through multi-method interdisciplinary approach. And we try to utilize 5 rich datasets to evaluate the dimension of changes, process, and contextual factors associated with app-based interventions and energy behavioral change. And for the research objective and research questions, we aim to examine how do households interact with the six app-based energy behavioral change interventions, and what are the impacts in terms of the household electricity consumption change, household energy behavioral change, knowledge and attitude change under the 6 app-based energy behavioral change interventions. And also, what are the factors explaining the differences in app-based interventions and household energy behavioral change. And let's move on to the integrated frameworks. The integrated frameworks put a focus into 3 distinctive perspectives, including the contextual factors, the processes, and the dimension of changes. For the contextual factors related to the app-based interventions, it put a focus in relation to the household levels, the participation levels, the app engagement level, and the climate level. And for the processes, we put a focus on the 6 motivation factors, the 6 intervention functions, and the 6 deep engagement strategies of the 3-month app-based interventions. And for the dimension of changes, we put a focus on 3 different perspectives, including the household electricity consumption change, the household energy behavioral change, and also the household interaction with app 6 major functions. And this is our integrated frameworks. And this is the overview of methodologies. We put a focus on the interdisciplinary research with 5 types of data collection methods. And we utilize a case study of New Territory East Districts as the unit of analysis and Sai-Kung and Shui community as the 2 subunits of analysis. And we divide the participants into the apps engagement group, app-only group, and also the control group. And we put a focus on the 3-month app-based interventions funded by the large-scale 4-year RF research projects. So for the methodologies, we put the focus on the interdisciplinary research with 5 types of data collection methods, including the household in-depth interviews, the household electricity bills, the real-time electricity consumption data measured from the smart sensor, the questionnaire survey T1 and T2, and also the focus group deliberative workshops. And the methods, the variables, and also the household have been explained in these tables. And also, we utilized the Sai-Kung and Shui community as the 2. We utilized a case study of the New Territory East District as the unit of analysis, and Sai-Kung and Shui community as the 2 subunits of analysis. And these are the overviews of the 2 communities, Sai-Kung community and Shui community. The geographical features, the community-specific features, and also the types of housing involved in these 2 extraordinary communities. And also, our research put a focus on 3 participant groups, including the app engagement groups, the app-only group, and control group. And for the similarity and differences, for the similarity, these 3 participant groups have joined the RF research projects. They have completed the household in-depth interviews and submitted the household electricity bills. And for the main differences, the only app engagement group have participated in the 3-month app-based interventions with deep engagement with the 6 app-based intervention functions and 6 motivation strategies. And some of them have also participated in the focus group deliberative workshops, which provides in-depth and comprehensive quality insights for the policy recommendation of smart grid, smart apps, and smart energy districts. And also, both app engagement group and app-only group have installed the smart sensor and CFs, and also complete the questionnaire survey T1. And this table shows the similarity and differences of these 3 participant groups. And also, this research adopted the confidence samplings and also the coded samplings. For the confidence samplings, because households are easiest to assess and first movers are significant actors to provide us with in-depth policy recommendation of the smart grids, smart apps, and smart energy districts. And we try to adopt the coded samplings for the control group and app-only group. We create a similar proportion of housing types and different community as app engagement groups. And also, we try to use several strategies to minimize the selection bias existed in the research. Firstly, all participant groups remained anonymously for the interventions. And also, before interventions, we randomly checked and make comparison of the baseline consumptions among different participant groups. And the t-test shows no significant difference among each participant groups. And also, We randomly checked and make comparison of the socio-demographic features, including the family members, household income, among fee participant groups, and the t-test result also shows no significant difference. And this table demonstrates the socio-demographic features in relation to the fee participant groups, the N and also the percentage of each group. Yes. Like the gender, the age, education levels, type of occupation, and so on. And also, this research focused on the 3-month app-based interventions funded by the large-scale RF research projects. And let's move on to the research findings. This table summarizes the finding statements, the synthesis analysis, analytical techniques, and also the dimension of analysis. You need to highlight on the dimension of analysis, which includes the changes in electricity consumption levels, dimension of changes in relation to the energy knowledge, attitude, perceptions, actual behaviors, and also the app-based interactions. And also for the contextual factors, we try to use the prediction models to predict the usage frequency of the CFs and also the household energy behavioral change. And firstly, we found that around 30% of app engagement groups, 19.2% of app-only group, and 25% of control group households achieved an average 10% electricity consumption reductions. However, the overall results were statistically insignificant when calculated from the t-test statistics. Yes, and this finding is derived from the household electricity bill collected. And 3 checking periods, including the period A, period B, and period C, have been demonstrated here. And yes, we find that certain number of households have achieved the 10% electricity consumption reductions when compared between period A and period C. And however, in overall, the t-test results shows that the result is not significant. It has no significant differences between the participant groups. And also, not only from the electricity bills, and also from the real-time electricity consumption data measured from the smart sensors, we found that certain numbers of households could achieve the 10% reduction targets. However, in overall, the t-test results were also no significant difference. And also, we found out that households engaged in a 3-month app-based interventions program report to have a significant increase in energy knowledge, attitude change, perception of I can do it, and actual behavioral change. Yes. And also, the t-test results shows that the app-based interventions could effectively increase the knowledge, attitudes, perception, and also the actual behavioral change in relation to the t-test statistical analysis. And also, not only from the questionnaire surveys, from the focus group deliberative workshops, we find that the household, there are three persistent changes focused on 3 main aspects, including checking household electricity consumption more frequently, attempting energy-saving practice in daily routines, and discussing smart low-carbon living with their friends or neighborhoods more frequently after installing the smart sensor in CApps. These are the persistent changes, the persistent household energy behavioral change under the app-based interventions. Yes. And also, for the finding things, we find that households engaged in a 3-month app-based intervention program report to increase usage frequency with 5 major functions of CF that included the passive interactions. Yes. For passive interactions. Yes. And the passive, and we tried to identify the passive and active interactions. The passive interaction could be divided as the household will only allowed to check the electricity consumption data, make comparison, and redeem rewards. And for active interactions, households were allowed to actively seek energy advices and express their thoughts and feelings for the chatbot platforms. Yes, we found that the usage frequency of the CF's 5 major functions were increased. The household will seldom interact with the AI conversational chatbots, which involved in the active interactions. Yes, and also we find that there are some limitations to the usage frequency of the CFs. And there are some technical issues related to the real-time data visualization, the energy saving costs and rewards, and also the AI conversational chatbots. Yes. And for instance, we find that for the real-time data visualizations, some households checked the real-time electricity consumption when data was available and make comparison with the historical consumption rather than peer comparisons. And for the energy saving costs and rewards, different types of households, such as families with children and young couples, were perceived to redeem specific types of rewards. And for the AI conversational chatbots, most households seldom communicate with AI chatbots due to the inadequate time and also some technical challenges. And lastly, we tried to perform the multi-regression models. And firstly, we identified the independent variables in relation to the household demographics, household activity level factors, participant level factors, and so on. And also, we identified the dependent variables, including the DV1, the household reported usage frequency of CFs, and the household reported energy behavioral change. And we try to perform the multi-regression models. We first include all factors into model 1, and then we put those factors with strong correlation and statistical differences into the model 2, and also the model 3. And we find that ultimately the household reported using frequency of CF was found to be correlated with degree of participation and app engagement factors. And household with self-reported energy behavioral change was found to be correlated with the social demographic factors, such as in relation to the occupation type, the app engagement factors, and app activity factors. These are findings derived from the multi-regression models. Yes, and also we found that some limitation to the app-based interventions and barriers to energy-saving behavioral change. Yes, there's some findings derived from the focus group derivative workshops. And lastly, to conclude, there are some research limitations in my MPhil research, and due to the operational difficulties, we adopted the convenience encoded sampling when allocating the 3 participant groups. And due to the app design limits, we could not record the usage frequency of CF's 6 major functions automatically. Therefore, we try to utilize the questionnaire survey T1 and T2, as well as the focus group derivative workshops to explain the household experience with the CFs. And due to the complicated big data analytics and machine learning, we could not predict the household energy consumption change through multi-regression models at these stages. And for the theoretical contributions, and there are 3 main theoretical contributions. Firstly, our integration framework has developed a holistic perspective, including dimension of changes, process, and contextual factors of app-based energy behavioral change interventions for smart low-carbon districts. And also, we try to expand the theoretical perspective of 2 traditional models of energy behavioral change, which included the TAM models and the NAM models. Yes. Also, our multi-scalar approaches recognize the app engagement across multiple scale approaches. And this contribution can shed light on the scalar perspective of energy transitions. And for the empirical contributions, this study is one of the first to test the app-based interventions with diverse housing types and scattered household social demographic features in Hong Kong. And also, we tried to adopt the interdisciplinary multi-methods with 5 types of data collection to evaluate dimension of changes, processes, and contextual factors. And lastly, our comprehensive findings shed light on the policy combination of the smart grids, smart apps, and smart energy districts. It has helped in formulating effective net zero carbon 2050 measures. These are some empirical contributions involved in my research. Yes. Lastly, and these are the future research directions. Yes. And these are the announcement. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lam, for your inspiring presentation. And I believe that the smart app would be a useful app for promoting energy knowledge. So may we now invite Dr. Zhou Yanling from Education University of Hong Kong and Dr. Yali Zhao from Georgia State University to talk about promoting cross-cultural understanding and addressing children's rights issues through virtual exchange. Doctor, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Please allow me to introduce Dr. Zhao from the Georgia State University. And she and I collaborated on this project together as a part of the course that we developed together. So I'm going to start with a brief introduction, how we kickstart, how we connected, and we'll hand over to Dr. Zhao to talk a bit more about the mission and the purpose of this project. So this whole project, we were connected through collaborative online learning, international learning. This is a mission that was set by both of our universities. So we somehow randomly, I can't recall, sort of like a randomly connected with each other, and somehow the course we are teaching have a similar element that we want to convey through our students. So my students are basically pre-serviced early year educators, and so as Dr. Zhao's students. So in that sense, we decided that this kind of a virtual exchange might be an interesting element that we introduce into our course. And given that the starting point of this collaboration was during the COVID time. So that such collaboration give our student a bit energy and something different to looking forward to. So I'll hand over to Dr. Zhao to explain a little bit about the benefit, the mission of this international virtual exchange, a bit of history behind it.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Zhou, for the brief introduction. So would you please lay out all the information on the slides so I can just talk directly instead of one by one, yeah.
Okay.
So we have been, I have been collaborating with Dr. Zhou for the past at least 3 years during the pandemic. So it's really very inspiring experience for both of us as faculty and also for our students on both sides as well. So as you can see here, so my university has been working with Hong Kong Education University and also Hong Kong Baptist University in different disciplines. So we're very delighted to have this opportunity to showcase one of our projects here. So there are many, of course, benefits. As you can see, our university has been collaborating also with Georgia Tech University and also the Atlanta Global Studies Center, also promoting virtual exchange at different levels. So with Dr. Zhou, so we also, because of a common sense, we realize there are a lot of benefits, right? It can prepare students for global and online learning environments, and also promotes our curriculum, internationalizing our curriculum, and also promotes equity, because not all the students can afford to study abroad as they used to, right? Of course, with the pandemic, it's actually more convenient and costless for us to communicate. And also, it really can encourage appreciation for diverse perspectives. And also, it's very interactive and also very meaningful learning for students cross-nationally, and also helps develop a lot of skills. So we're going to talk later. And we can collaborate in many areas. In this case, so our early childhood and education educators, they are collaborating with each other. So we're going to go to the next slide. And so you know already about the virtual exchange, so we're not going to kind of emphasize. We want to actually share more about our projects. So this is the definition you know already. And by collaborating, so we also give students upon successfully finishing all the projects. So all the students, our JS students and also international students will receive the virtual exchange badges as a kind of proof for their cross-national learning, and also something they can be proud of to show their efforts, and they can also put on a resume. So I think it's very helpful. And sometimes we collaborate with the kind of designed certificates as well. So we have been using all kinds of technology modules or tools for the virtual exchange for us to faculty here. So I used iCollege, we use the Zoom for regular meetings. And also students use WhatsApp. And also we use Flipgrid and Padlet, try to share documents and also try to showcase our students' projects. So next one, please. Yes, you go ahead.
Okay, shall I? So we're gonna just dive into one of the specific case that we have collaborated together. So basically, our virtual exchange followed this kind of steps. We're finding each other through our university, through our officer at our department, who is widely kind of connected with university around the world. So in this case, I was connected with Yali, and we set up a meeting together, and we have the permission from both of our university. And then we we had several meetings in advance to discuss about the curriculum design prior to the whole term, because that's will affect such design not only affects the weekly delivering of the lecture, but also students' assessment, attendance, and their communication as well. So a lot of things we need to discuss in advance, including the assessment, one of the important part. And the activity, the virtual exchange activity itself, so we follow this kind of policies where shows our respect of each other, but also kind of stick with the timing. So yeah, Dr. Zhao is in the US. It is 12 hours. We have 12 hours of time differences. So actually today, Dr. Zhao got up 3:30 in the morning in the US to attend this conference here. I really appreciate that. And so we need to, through this collaboration, we really kind of be very conscious about the confidentiality of each university, also the timing, and also our cultural differences of the two continents, and also specific topics, sensitive topics that are involved. So which we would, one of the topics that we have been involved through in our curriculum design. So Yali, would you like to kind of?
Yes. So we have different phases or the different tasks throughout the semester, right? The first one, of course, we want students to learn about each other. So we have students make self-introduction video. So they're going to document, right? So not only introduction about themselves, but also their community, their hobbies, their life goals, maybe some strengths areas, and also, of course, about their community, their family, their special culture, about Hong Kong. And on our side, our students will also introduce our community here, our city, Atlanta, and also something also about US, right? So it's really a kind of interactive dialogues for the students to learn about each other and to be familiar a little bit with each other. So because of the time difference, we're not able to do it synchronously. So we set some deadlines. As you can see here, right, students have to post the initial video and share. And they have to watch all the other videos as well, and also give thoughtful comments, right? So this is the picture actually from, you can also see on the right side, students comment on each other after they watch the videos. So this picture, right, this video here shared by the Hong Kong students. So the next one.
Yep. So can I add one more thing here?
Yes.
Because one of the major purpose of this kind of virtual exchange is about the cross-cultural understanding, cross-cultural exchange as well, because students are coming from very different cultural background. Neither my students nor Dr. Zhao's students have, most of them have never gone outside their own context, have visited another country before. So how do you meet someone, a stranger, completely in a formal way? It's not like just a chat, a kind of normal social platform chat. So this is one way we want to kick off, make them to be imagining how you can meeting a new friend from a different continent. What would you introduce them as if they were visiting you for the first time? Okay, sorry.
Right. And
Yes.
also, as you can see from the picture here, so our student body here are very culturally diverse, especially the American students. So not only they are culturally diverse, but also they are working also at schools, right? Working with students, with the teacher there. And there's the students they serve also very culturally diverse. So that is why we think it's meaningful. We can share about our teaching experiences, our learning experiences, and also our culture, the diverse culture school settings. So that is the main purpose here. So we also have students, like our students, on both sides, right? They teach. So they kind of take videos of the classroom settings. So what kind of books, what kind of multicultural books students read, different kind of activities, the culture displays on the walls, in the hallway, and what are some best practices they can share with their partners here. So this is part of the second project, basically share about the best practices in the multicultural education setting. And also, can you move back? So there's another project we also, the previous slides, and also students also sometimes they share the stories, right? Something encountered at school, and also, so we have different, over the years, we make some changes based on feedback and also the needs we feel necessary. Yeah, the next slide. Yeah, the next one. So on both sides, we have our students read the Refugee book by Alan Grant, and also on both sides. So they not only read it, but also we have a lot of discussions in classroom, because we think it's very important for us students to learn more about, we have a lot of immigrants and also refugees as well. And it's very important for students to learn about, so what are some critical children's rights as teachers we need to care about, and also how we can be the advocate. We can advocate for the children's rights. So that is why we use these books on my side. On both sides, we use the Refugee book, read, discuss, and also reflect and share our do our reflect writing, and also share our projects on Flipgrid and also Padlet. So I also use another book separate, is Nariko. So our students also have 2 weeks of, we use this 2 books also for literature class. We did a lot of in-classroom and also online activities, and we share with Hong Kong students, and they do something similar. Yeah, next one, please. So this is kind of, I don't have, yeah, kind of the screenshot of what our students did and posted on the Padlet. So they have this Refugee book reflections, and Hong Kong students did that too. And also we have, students were really kind of actively engaged in talking about, share what are some practices, so how Hong Kong teachers and the teachers themselves teach about the children's rights, and also what are some issues existing in Hong Kong and also in the United States here. So we have a lot of screenshots, right? Just kind of to show you what kind of dialogues they have there, and also what are the project students created using the book, and also through discussions, and also through the interactions with between Hong Kong students and GSU students. So as you can see, they create images and pictures. Yes, go ahead.
So as you can see, our design was really not just try to connect two students from a different sides of the globe together, but also connect them through a common topics concerns about this world, and that is current affair that is happening around them sometimes, and in this case, especially when we were designing the refugee topics, and that was happening during the Syria war. So we get the students to look back to the history as well as a current affair, and get them to discuss the topics, and then they presented a different view from a different context, and that in that way they really see the different perspectives and different understanding about the same issue.
Yeah, and also they talk about because of this experience, they also talk about how it's affecting them as teachers, and also affect their teaching about these critical issues in their own classrooms. And what's significance, what happened there, and also how it's affecting locally here, make some comparisons as well.
Yes. So it served the multiple purpose. One is broaden their horizon to the world, at the same time reflecting about issues in their own context. So here are some of the what our students really enjoy about the experience. They said that it enriched their learning experience, and they understand the differences about children's rights in the USA and China. So that's a very interesting understanding they have gained through their interaction with each other. They understand when we're talking about children's rights, we're talking about the same thing, but in reality, we're talking about different things. And so that creates a top opportunity for students to really kind of thinking deep and have an in-depth communication and reading through those topics as well. And so that way they gained new perspective on the issues of children's rights in a different cultural social context.
Okay,
Yali.
so from my side here, from American students also, they have very positive experience. So many believe it's a very unique, informative, enlightening experience, and also it gives them a new perspective, new understanding of global issues, and also they're able to see beyond our side of the world, because now it's a real eye-opening for them to see what's the life there, and also what some common issues, and also how they perceive the world. So they both enjoyed it, and they also make comments how we both value hard work and academic achievement, but also they realize Hong Kong students are much more, education in Hong Kong is highly competitive and achievement oriented compared with American education. And also there are injustices in schools, right? But in different forms. We are common in this way, but different in different forms, as you can see, right? So on Hong Kong side is more, okay, so it's kind of, we have 1 minute left. So definitely we see some challenges and differences, right? Move to the next slides.
Yeah. So yeah, we just quickly wrapped up. We both students and us have meet this huge challenge in terms of the time difference and communication problems and lack of collaboration. That's a typical challenges people meet in any kind of multinational companies or private schools or any organizations they will meet. So to us, we see this is a golden opportunity for students really have a real life taste of what it is take to collaborate with people from different culture and different continent, different time zone, and what are the realistic issues that need to address in order to achieve a certain learning goal together.
Yeah,
Okay.
the last slides here, as you can see here, in spite of the challenges, the language barrier and the communication time difference and all that. So our students on both sides are very positive about this, and especially from the last one. No, I still want to emphasize. So the last two here, you can see, right, because of our difference, and they actually learn because of this collaborative work. They realize, okay, this is going to be the reality in the future. So we need to work alongside people with different habits in different areas with different culture. And also together, we're able to overcome the barriers, the problems, right? So yes, there is challenge, but as a team, we're able to come together and build a project that we are proud of. So yeah, that's basically our presentation and some resources here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the patience.
Thank you, Dr. Zhao and Dr. Zhou for sharing your project in promoting multicultural education through virtual exchange. They are very meaningful. And now, may we now invite Mr. Lam Hin from Hong Kong Baptist University to share on virtual masterclasses in piano education, bridging the gap between student and renowned pianist.
Okay, so hello everyone. So I am Lam Hin Tyler from the Academy of Music at Hong Kong Baptist University. So our topic today is about virtual masterclasses in piano education. So here's a little bit background about the virtual piano masterclasses. So virtual piano masterclasses have revolutionized piano and higher music education institutions in the past decade by providing students with the opportunity to exchange virtually with renowned world-class pianists, regardless of geographical limitations. This is also influenced by the pedagogical changes, which involve integrating technology as a valuable learning aid and help to reconsider the approach to online music education. And 40% of National Association of Schools of Music Institutions in US also has their undergraduate program structured with the aid of online learning to include courses by international guest artists to deal with niche topic areas and to provide alternative options for campuses with limited capacity. So we can see a popularization of integrating technology in music teaching or virtual masterclasses to help to facilitate the exchange between international musicians and students. And here are my research objectives. First is to examine the benefits and challenges associated with virtual piano masterclasses. And secondly, to explore their impact on student piano learning and artistic development in the higher music education institutions. And finally, to evaluate the role of technology in enhancing the learning experience and facilitating interactions between student and renowned pianists in virtual masterclasses. And I've employed qualitative research methods with conducting interviews to gather data from piano students who have previously engaged in virtual piano masterclasses. The study also involved insight from renowned faculty pianists who have conducted virtual piano masterclasses. The coding method has been employed to facilitate the analysis of unstructured interview data. And at the same time, secondary sources are also used to support the topic. And I have interviewed 4 students and 2 faculty piano teachers from the higher education music institutions. Data were collected for 50-minute semi-structured interviews. And after the recorded interviews were transcribed, they were inductively analyzed and filmed using first and second coding methods. And here are some of the questions asked during the interview. And for the findings, I have identified 3 main themes based on the codes I gathered in the interviews on the interviewees' responses on virtual piano masterclasses. They were student engagement, expert feedback, and technological advancement. And here are some quotes from the interviews. So the interviewees thought that virtual piano masterclasses could enhance the student engagement. So for example, the quotes peer interaction, discussions, and encourages shy students. Also are some quotes that exemplify the theme student engagement. Personalized feedback, constructive criticism, insight, and refinement also are quotes that exemplified the theme expert feedback. And here we can also see the quotes here, remote learning experience and virtual performance opportunities are the quotes generated from the quote from interviews that illustrates the theme and technological advancements also plays a very important role in enhancing the experience in virtual piano masterclasses. And here are some examples of technologies applied in virtual piano masterclasses for instructional purposes because of technological advancement. And this is the most typical virtual piano masterclasses setting by using virtual conferencing or music platform. So as we can see the photo here, the piano masterclasses used the online conferencing platform Zoom to have this masterclass. And we can see the teacher in Zhou and the student in Jakarta. They had their virtual piano masterclasses through Zoom. And in recent years, Zoom also invented a mode called high fidelity music mode, which is designed to provide professional grade audio and optimize all kinds of sound and music. This helps to deliver professional audio for performing art and music teachers, songwriters, and anyone else looking for a professional grade sound over Zoom. And this mode is very useful, especially in having virtual piano master classes. And virtual piano master classes also used real-time MIDI technology. And we can have a closer look to this video first.
No, not Christian here. Go there.
Okay, so here we can see this is very innovative technology actually. So through the use of a real-time MIDI technology, as a student plays the piano on his end, the piano will also play simultaneously on teacher's end or vice versa. So this synchronization can enhance the authenticity of the sonic experience for both parties. And also virtual piano masterclasses also use VR technology, which students can see the hand shape or finger techniques in real-time first-person view that demonstrated by the expert with VR technology. So students here can wear a VR glasses and see the hand shape demonstrated by the professor at the other end. And here are some benefits from the virtual piano masterclasses. And yeah, I found out that actually virtual piano masterclasses provide a lot of collaborative opportunities, which can help to meet the community needs for musicians to provide more collaborative discussion opportunities among them. And also the second benefits, which is accessibility, which virtual piano masterclasses could allow students to access to top-tier instruction from anywhere in the world, breaking down geographical barriers. Students can learn from a diverse range of instructors and classmates without limitations imposed by location. And thirdly, third benefit is convenience, which students can schedule classes at their convenience, saving time and effort on commuting to a physical location. And lastly, of course, is cost effective, which virtual piano master classes can be less expensive for both students and instructor, as they eliminate the need for physical space and travel expenses. And for example, in my case, a few years ago, I had to fly to the US to participate in live piano masterclass, which is actually very expensive. And here are some limitations or challenges associated with virtual piano masterclasses. First one is technical limitations, like internet connectivity or hardware software requirements. So maybe like inconsistent internet connections might disrupt the flow of the masterclasses, and students or teachers may not have access to the necessary equipment or software for an optimal virtual learning experience. And also virtual setting may lack the personal touch and live settings in in-person masterclasses, which is a personal interaction. Like it's difficult to build personal connections and rapport between students and renowned pianists. And also scholars also suggest online music learning environment should address the inherent dynamic communication exchanges found in the performance, that is musicians performing with other musicians. And lastly, limited hand-on guidance is also a limitation, because in a virtual setting, it can be difficult for renowned pianists to provide hand-on guidance or physical adjustment to students' playing techniques. Like complicated techniques of piano playing may be harder to convey effectively through virtual platforms. And here are some ideas for further research that might help overcome some of the limitations in virtual piano masterclasses. So we could try to investigate the effectiveness of either technologies or VR technology, maybe explore technology that has better connectivity or provides a more authentic VR experience to address some difficult piano playing techniques, or to even virtualize a live performing stage, maybe develop more sensory experience like haptic or scent experience. We could explore strategies to enhance personal connection or rapport between students and teacher in virtual piano masterclasses, maybe develop more collaboration project or online forums. And lastly, we could develop innovative pedagogical methods to address the challenge of transitioning from face-to-face to online music teaching that's focusing on interactive learning methods and student engagement strategies. So to conclude, this finding will eventually contribute to the development of the virtual music instrumental masterclasses so that more professional musicians and students in the higher education music institutions will adopt this teaching method. And virtual piano masterclasses also encourage the development of more virtual music teaching and learning platform for students to co-create music and exchange with musicians globally. So this will also help to make music learning more accessible at an affordable cost. So I really hope that virtual piano masterclasses could be widely adopted by more music practitioners in the future. Okay, so this is the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lam, for your presentation. And I like the ideas of virtual master classes. That helps a lot. And next, we now welcome Dr. Curtis Zhou and Mr. Kitagawa from TSZ University in Japan to talk about cultivating global citizenship through COIL, dialogues of peace and sustainability. Dr. Curtis, please.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let me share my screen here. All right. Okay, are we all seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So it's a great pleasure to be here today, and it's even a really great opportunity for us because I have two students with me who participated in the COIL programs, and they will be sharing their experience with everybody, Kitagawa Ryotaro-kun and Chimi-san. Okay, so let's get started. And we're going to be talking about cultivating global citizenship through COIL, mainly focusing on peace and sustainability. So two COIL projects, hold on, okay. In our 15-week course on global citizenship, we met once a week for 90 minutes, and we had two different COIL projects incorporated into this course. So the first project is focusing on sustainable finance. We talked about things like globalization, consuming consequences, and from students or grassroots perspectives on spending habits and investments. And this was a collaboration between Japanese students, American students, and Norwegian students. Then we had the second project, which was focusing on World War II and the Hiroshima atomic bombing. This was a little bit more sensitive, but that was what made it interesting. We had different interpretations of history of this historical event. And one of the goals was to heal generational wounds and promoting peace. So this was a collaboration between Japan and the US. So our course was titled Topics in Global Citizenship. It was taught in EMI, English Mediated Instructions. It was on Tuesdays. We had 12 students, and it was a 2-credit course. So for the first week, we had to do some preparations. We started engaging students. We first discussed the topics of global citizenship, what it means. We reflected on our identities as global citizens. And then we did the BEVI, Beliefs, Events, and Values Inventory pretest as the assessment for this COIL project. And then we started preparing for the first project. So we planned together on how to make self-introduction videos in English. This might sound a little bit funny, but helping students plan to make self-introduction videos, for many of our students, it was their first experience of having this online communication opportunity with people abroad. So they were a bit nervous. And we also discussed what are the intentions of self-introductions. As we're also used to self-introductions, we talked about what kind of contents do we put in our self-introductions and why do you choose things like that? For example, students talked about, oh, I'm going to share my birthday. And then interestingly, when I asked, why do you want to tell when your birthday is to someone you've never met and someone from a different part of the world? And they were like, Then I asked the next student, okay, so what are you going to talk about? I'm also gonna talk about my birthday. I said, come on, please don't follow everyone. This is kind of a thing in Japan, like when somebody says something first, that people tend to follow them to be safe. So we talked about that. Then on week 2, we started the Sustainable Finance COIL. We onboarded the students how to use Padlet, and then they finalized and upload the group self-introduction videos. And then they had to do scheduling. So my Japanese students, they had to write emails and schedule online meetings with partners. To us teachers, it's pretty simple, but to them, it was a heck of a trouble. So they had to learn how to use Doodle, something called Chosei-san, like similar to Doodle, time zone converters, and even scheduling on Zoom. It was a really difficult task. So it was so difficult that in week 3, during the class time, we checked with the students on the progress of scheduling a meeting, and many of them talked about, oh, it was difficult. I made a mistake in time zone. My partners are not responding. So there are many problems that we had to overcome. And that's where we prepared for the online meeting. We talked about the challenges and how to solve them. And then we started to watch the first lecture video from the collaborator at Michigan State University. She gave us a lecture on Introduction to Sustainable Finance. And outside of the class, this was when during this week, students had to do this online meeting. They do an icebreaking activity, 2 truths and 1 lie. And afterwards, they posted a summary video of the online meeting on Padlet. So we watched this video about the consumers, about sustainable finance, and we also reflected on our spending habits. What kind of impact would it have for the next 7 generations? Next, in week 4, so during class time, students would talk about the progress of the online meeting last week. What happened? What did they talk about? What kind of challenges they had? And they share with each other strategies that they use to overcome the challenges. One of them is mainly language barrier. And then they started to prepare for a group presentation on SDGs issues in Japan, and also introducing some companies with sustainable initiatives. So outside of the class, by the end of the week, they were asked to post the group presentations videos onto Padlet. So one of the groups talked about chicken ramen from Nissin, very famous ramen. They did an investigation on this company, what kind of SDGs initiatives they did. And the next week, during class time, we get to watch a second lecture video from the collaborator in Norway. He's an expert in sustainable investments, so he told us about ESG investments. And outside of the class, they responded to the partners' comments and questions about their SDGs presentations on Padlet. So we get to watch a video about ESG presentations, which is something pretty new to the society in Japan. The next week, we watch presentation videos from US partners. So it's time for the US partners to do their presentations. They are finance major graduate students. So they introduce US-based companies with sustainable investments and the market performance. And then we watch the videos, and then we left comments and raised questions to them. Our students had a lot of comments and questions because we are not finance majors. And then outside of the class, they continue the conversation with the partners on Padlet. So this is a presentation from the American students. And you can see on the right on Padlet, students are leaving many questions and comments, which will be addressed. Week 7, now this is the Norwegian partners' turn to present, and they are doing something similar, but they're doing Europe-based companies with sustainable investments and their market performance. So we talked about it, and before the end of the class, we explained that, okay, so we learned a lot about different societies, investments, and now you're going to do a collaborative project. So they were asked to collaborate and create a prospectus. So outside of the class, students began collaborating with their partners to draft the prospectus, which looks something like this, introducing some companies, what kind of SDGs goals are they focused on, what kind of things are they committed to, something like that. So by the 7th week of this COIL, we're entering the last week of the COIL. So students shared progress of the prospectus collaboration during class time. They shared with each other what kind of challenges and strategies they had of working across cultures. And they were going to start Project 2, COIL Project 2, which I'll be talking about very soon. And then outside of the class time, they completed the prospectus. They addressed comments on the prospectus from the instructors. And we also had a synchronous farewell meeting on Zoom. So this was the end product. Each group created a fun perspective, including 10 companies, 5 US-based, 5 Europe-based, and they have similar SDGs focuses. So on week 9, we started the World War II COIL, and we took the BEVI post-test so that end of the sustainable finance, we did this post-assessment. And then we had a synchronous meeting to meet the partners. This time they're different partners from a different university in the US. 15-minute meeting. They shared their background knowledge on World War II and the Hiroshima bombing with each other. And this was where things started to get interesting because Japanese students, our students, they still have grandparents who survived, who lived through that era. So they started talking some things about those. And then outside of the class time, they had to do a preliminary research on the attack on Pearl Harbor. And we specifically asked the students to use local sources. So Japanese students only looked up sources in Japan, Japanese, and American students only used sources in America. So they get to share their different perspectives. We did this we started off on the Padlet, and then we started weekly Zoom meetings, and we slowly used less and less of Padlet for this COIL. For the second week, we had another synchronous meeting, and this time they went to breakout rooms, but with different partners. So their partners are not fixed in this COIL project. They shared their preliminary research ideas on the attack of Pearl Harbor. They exchanged their opinions, and they were asked to take notes during the meeting because later they would have to post on Padlet their group perspective. So that's what they did outside of the class. And then the next week, they had different partners again in breakout rooms, and they exchanged their integrated perspectives of the attack of Pearl Harbor. And they also explained if they have any changes in understanding of this historical event. Then their assignment was to look up sources to conduct preliminary research on why the atomic bombs were dropped on Japan. Again, only looking at local sources so that we can kind of get some insights on what the Japanese, let's not say government, but the Japanese people are learning and what the Americans are learning, what kind of perspectives are they learning. So for the 4th week of the COIL, we watched a lecture video by the collaborator, and this time our collaborator is a history professor at Fayetteville State University in North Carolina, and he presented to us 3 interpretations of the coming and ending of the World War II. And then we had this, after we watched the lecture, we joined the synchronous meeting, and this time we joined an atomic bomb survivor online testimony, which was offered by the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, which looked like this. So we had the survivor talking about her experience while she was a child, and we had a simultaneous interpreter. So she interpreted this into English. We had this this event in the morning so that it was okay for US students to join. And for US students who couldn't join, this was recorded. We posted on Padlet so the students could watch it a little bit later. And you can see that on the right. Students had many questions during the Q&A time, and they were translated in Japanese, told to Kachimoto-san, and then she responded to these questions. So for the final week, they had different partners again. They exchanged ideas on why the atomic weapons were used. They reflected on their experience of attending the online testimony. And then they discussed this big question, whether the US should or should not have used the weapons. So at the end of the COIL, and then we bid each other thank you and farewell. We exchanged contact information. We encourage students to exchange Instagram because that's the thing these days. So we have 2 more weeks in this course. What are we going to do when all the COIL projects are finished? We need a lot of time to do reflections. So the first one, I facilitated UNESCO story circles, and then for students to talk about their experience in the 2 COIL projects. And then they share with each other the challenges that they met, the strategies that they used. And then we still had a little bit of time, so we watched a short video on globalization, and students were asked to begin to write a reflective essay, which will become their final assignment. So the final week, it was Christmas, not on Christmas Day, but a few days before Christmas. And after so much hard work, so we had to celebrate. We first, we did the work. We shared reflective essays with each other. I added another topic to their essays, so they had to reflect on the lessons they learned from the COIL projects. And then we had a Christmas card and present exchange. We had a little bit of a party to end this to kind of celebrate that. Yay, we survived through 2 COIL projects. It was so difficult for Japanese students to listen to native speakers speaking in English. So the assessment results. First, we took the BEVI assessment. BEVI is a very powerful assessment tool with over 200 questions. It took students like 40 minutes to complete. But then some changes, interestingly, significant changes, social emotional convergence. So students had an increase in complexity of thought and consideration of multiple perspectives. They were more self-aware. They were more conscious of environmental and social issues as well, and they had a clearer sense of identity. So here's a brief overview of the BEVI, measuring 17 dimensions with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dimensions with more than 5-point increase, which is significant. And in the BEVI, there's a really cool function. There's an AI. So I simply asked the AI, hey, can you summarize the outcome of the COIL project in 30 words? And the AI said, okay. Post-exchange, after the exchange, Japanese students had greater global and ecological consciousness, emotional self-awareness, and they decreased the need for closure among Japanese undergraduates collaborating with Western finance graduates. So the very interesting thing was that decreased need of closure, because in intercultural competence, students being more able to tolerate ambiguous situations, that's what we really want. And here, we did it. Okay, and then the reflective essays, they talked about the quality of education. COIL provided rare opportunities to make classes more interactive and meaningful. Their communication skills, listening to native speakers in a foreign language was difficult, but they were more motivated. They want their opinions to be understood, so they tried harder. Their perspectives were broadened because they get to learn from people with very different perspectives, and something really practical, scheduling. Scheduling online meetings through time differences became a practical skill for the future. So what about students' perspectives on the participation in COIL projects? So let's have first Mr. Kitagawa Ryotaro-kun. Can you tell us about your experience of joining the COIL projects?
Hi, thank you, Dr. Karis, and thank you for everyone to having me today. My name is Ryotaro Kitagawa from Setsuno University. I'm a fourth-year student of mechanical engineering, and I'm also learning about the global citizenship as a minor course. Now I will be sharing how I was feeling and how I was doing during a 2 COIL project. Thanks to Dr. Chu, I got the opportunity to join 2 types of COIL project twice. First, I'd like to share my experience of learning about peace from World War II with students from United States. In the project, I encountered challenges in discussing the war with students from different culture and different educational background. During the COIL project, those students shared their own thoughts on the war result. But that initially made me surprised and made me a bit confused because I didn't have such kind of thinking before, and I was thinking that is impolite for myself. However, I thought they had their own valid perspective, likely shaped by their education in their country. So that made it difficult for me to keep up with the discussions. Subsequently, I made a strategy to build my own opinion on the outcome of the war, similar to what the United States student did. So as a result, I have noticed that my critical thinking has been improved, and I have gained valuable insight into effectively communicating with individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds about historical events through this COIL. Doctor, please move to the next slide. So secondly, I will present on sustainable finance COIL. One of the difficulties we encountered was reaching a consensus with the people who from different cultural background, which was challenging due to linguistic difficulties, and we need to respect each other's cultures. To overcome this challenge, I made the effort to communicate frequently with our partners despite language barriers. Whenever I faced language problems, I asked some help from my partners. So as a result of my effort, the project team activity engaged in learning about sustainable finance, shaping opinions, and build consensus as a team. So this experience helped me overcome linguistic and cultural barriers and noticed me to a lot of multicultural team communication. So thanks for listening my part. Now I pass to Ms. Chimi for her presentation.
Thank you. I know we're running out of time. Just one more minute. Jimmy, could you go really quickly? Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Chimi, Zhao from China. I'm currently studying in the third year of International Studies in Sichuan University. Next, I'd like to share my experience in participating in two projects of Dr. Curtis Zhou. First of all, during the project about World War II with students from FSU, my cognition was changed and my sense of peace was strengthened. Until then, I had always thought that the topic of war was sensitive and perhaps awkward in the process of discussing it. But in fact, students were able to express their opinions seriously and respect each other's opinions. I realized that it is precisely because people can open their hearts to objective discussion that they can face history squarely, resolve misunderstandings, and avoid conflicts. The speech by the victim of the Hiroshima bombing is a special part of this project. While immersed in the sad mood, I thought of the war that were and are going on in the world, and I'm aware of the harm that war brings to people and the rarity of peace. Okay, secondly, the Sustainable Finance COIL project. The knowledge of a familiar field brought me challenges. Different from simple daily conversation, I realized my lack of ability, so I was extra attentive and careful during the project. After class, in order to deepen my understanding, I looked up more relevant materials and also generated some interest. In addition, I also have an understanding of the importance of teamwork. When we need to complete a task together, we should perform our respective duties and do what we are better at. Some students know more about SDGs, while others know more about ESG, and we were able to use our own knowledge and work together in our respective roles. So I feel that my ability and consciousness have been strengthened, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to participate in this group project.
Thank you. And yes, thank you everyone for listening. If you're interested in a bevy, you can contact me. Yeah, we can talk about it, anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zhou, and the two students sharing your feelings in engaging in the virtual exchange. Because of the time is running short, we may only able to accommodate one quick questions because we have a keynote speaker section coming. So any question? Indeed, I have one question. So as a speaker, organize several lots of virtual exchange program, but sometimes we have students from diverse background joining in the same course. So they may have different interests, they may have different learning styles. So how could we facilitate a virtual exchange or tailor-made virtual exchange that are able to accommodate their differences in terms of interest or learning style? So
okay, basically from the faculty's perspective, we know our students, right? So it's kind of task they have to do actually. Even though that is also kind of help them realize the world is different, everyone is unique. So we need to learn to respect each other, and we need to learn from each other and with each other and from each other. So that is very important. That is how we can grow personally and professionally. So I always emphasize at the very beginning, right? The purpose of the international virtual exchange, the benefits we're going to have, and also how we can show our professionalism across the in the process. I do have a question for Dr. Chu. So it's really amazing, right? Your project is kind of running all the semesters, right? And also you're collaborating with multiple partners, universities. That's really hard to imagine because even with 2 partners, right? It's challenging already with the time, language, and collaboration. So how did you manage all this?
Oh, I think because the first COIL on sustainable finance, it was the 3rd time of doing it. And for the World War II COIL, it was I think it's also the 3rd time. And for the Sustainable Finance COIL, because we had Norway also involved, we were actually a part of the AACNU Virtual Exchange Institute Norwegian Panorama Initiative. So we got funding to go to Norway, and then we had workshops. We had a lot of time to bond with the partners to really create that program in person. So I think that helped a lot. Yeah, so we spent a lot of time forming the projects together. And we also dedicated a slot every Monday at nighttime. We would have meeting to discuss the progress. So we dedicated time slots to meet weekly during the COIL. Yeah. So I think so. So I think the key was to always keeping in contact with the partners, in my experience. Yeah.
May I also jump in to continue with that question? I'm wondering how is that one-off collaboration that you were having, or is that a kind of repeated every year?
Yeah, we got the funding for 1 year, but then it's kind of like kicking us off, and then we are repeating it. So we're doing it again in 2 months. It's summer break, and we're already having meetings to plan for how to improve it already. Yeah, for both COIL projects too. Oh, and for the second project, the World War II project, we also got a funding where it's a virtual plus mobility funding. It's a collaboration between Japan and the US government so that the Americans will be able to visit Japan, which they already did. They went to our campus, they had a tour, they spent 14 days in Japan, and I will be taking my students to their campus in February because of the funding. Yeah,
Okay.
so virtual plus
Students feel more
mobility.
motivated, right?
Yeah, they're more
Because
motivated. And we would kind of tell them that, hey, if you like really get through this program, you might get some scholarship to go to the States. And they're like, okay, teacher, I'm ready to do my work. Yeah, so they need motivation.
Big funding as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is why I'm so surprised and really admired here, because even for yours is kind of much bigger, right, on big level, and also it's longer. For ours, when the students are trying to like the final project, when they collaborate on something, right, so they really feel the challenge because the time difference, the communication, the language barrier, and all that. So that's
yeah.
But when we kind of passively, when they try to watch, when they try to write comments or something, right, it's not a big issue. Until they actually have to work together, they complain. But also that's also the big change, because they really learn from these frustrations.
Yeah, we kind of had to force them to be in that uncomfortable situation. That's where they grow, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Any other further questions? Any other further questions? No? Okay. So, okay, thank you so much for sharing your insight and experience with us today. So I appreciate your support to us. So I hope that you enjoy the following or the rest of the section today. So before you leave, may I invite you to complete a survey for us? So I already sent you a survey link in the chat, as well as I can share through the PowerPoint. You can scan the QR code to fill out the questionnaire. Once again, thank you for participating in this section. Nice to meet you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you. See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.